Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We are live Friday night, 6/12, to discuss a 1986 film called Black Moon Rising. So, like I said before, my most recent picks have been picks that came out 40 years ago. I have never seen this film before, so I thought, hey, why not? Futuristic 1986, type of film with a very interesting cast. Why not check it out? So, anyways, we have Black Moon Rising, guys. Like I said, came out in '86. And we're going to be discussing that tonight with you guys. And can't wait to hear what everyone's thoughts are. But, anyways, of course, as always, we have a great panel with us tonight to discuss this film. Of course, we have my trusty co-host, Mr. Jeff S. True Knowledge. How we doing, Jeff?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Excellent. We have Mr. Pop Culture, the pop culture guy, the Time Lord, the time everything that he likes to call himself here. How we doing, Andres?
Good. Bat Lord, Super Lord, Nice Lord. Come on. Let's get the nicknames right. And down to the T. Anyway, all good, sir, Cyber. Very excited to talk about this film. Yeah, that's all I have to say. And always, nice to see you, Tim, my arch enemy.
Oh, it's good to see you too, Andreas. It has been a long time since we've clashed. I look forward to it.
And also joining us from the Middle Aged Man podcast, which we have not seen in quite some time. It's great to have him back, Mr. Tim. How we doing, Tim?
All right. You guys got to get this right, though. It's the Middle Aged Movie Reviews podcast, not the Middle Aged Man. That doesn't even sound like a movie podcast. You guys are killing me. But no, it's great to be here. I haven't seen you guys in a long time. This is a long overdue visit. Excited to, discuss the intricacies of this fine 80s film you've picked for us this evening.
Excellent. Well, glad to have you. Glad to have you guys back. It's been a while since the Middle Age podcast has come to us. But anyways, we have a great panel for you guys tonight. So this is great for a very interesting film. Now, Black Moon Rising, which is touted as a science fiction film, kind of cracks me up a little bit because even though it's supposed to be futuristic, I mean, they got some things right, because currently we're in 2026 and there are a few things I feel 40 years later, they kind of were on the nail about on certain things. But at the same time, this movie definitely did not look like it was sci-fi. It looked like it was the 1980s with some cars that might look a little futuristic. But anyways, this movie, like I said, is considered a science fiction action thriller film. It is directed by Harley Cokeliss, which I had never heard of this person before. They are an American director, but they have done a few other films over the years besides Black Moon Rising. I think probably this one is the biggest on-screen one that they've done. They were second unit director for The Empire Strikes Back, which I thought was kind of interesting. But overall, I think anything else I'm looking at when I looked at their filmography, I was like, not really much there. A few TV series episodes they did, like Xenia Warrior Princess, Hercules. Which I think is kind of funny that they did a couple episodes of those shows. I think that's great. I definitely can see them. I could see him doing more TV shows than actually doing a full-length feature film. Excuse me as I kill myself over here. Anyways, so yeah, Harley Cokeliss. What a name. What an interesting name. But anyways, so kind of just want to go around the table here and ask you guys, going into this, how familiar were you with both Linda Hamilton and with the great Tommy Lee Jones, his filmography before seeing this film? I mean, I'm sure some of us just like Tommy Lee Jones. Some of us love Tommy Lee Jones. Some of us might like Linda Hamilton, might love Linda Hamilton. I don't know how much movies we've all seen of these two actors, but what are your thoughts going into this film on these two actors? Were you big fans? Were you looking forward to seeing them in this? and kind of overall kind of like, were you expecting much from them from this film? And I'll start with you, Mr. Andres.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, of course, I'm a big fan of these two. I mean, I as always iterate with Eddie Pod. The household of the Diaz have seen the Tommy Lee Jones and Linda Hampton films. Frankly, in every year, either it's Batman Forever or The Fugitive is the big one. Obviously the Men in Black series. That's all Tommy Lee Jones. Of course, Linda, I just brought up before those live stream. Dante Speak. I That's my definitely my second performance of her career after the Terminator. Um, yeah, I'd seen a lot of their filmography. I mean, I love both of them. They're great I mean, they're great. They're great actors. I mean, especially Tommy Jones. I mean, he's such a fantastic actor. I mean, both dramatic, funny, and just whatever his performance was as Two Face is like a crime as a Batman fan. But we're not getting into that at all. Um, I was aware of this movie. I seen bits of this movie as a kid. Like it was funny when I um last Wednesday, last Wednesday, we were talking about like what was the next movie, and you brought up Black Moon Rising. And I was like, is that the Tony Joe's one where they steal a car, that was like super futuristic and all that? I was like, oh yeah, it is. So I seen bits of it, the beginning. I remember the ending. Yeah, that's it. And then this was my full on watch of like the full movie, because I was familiar with some sequence and some I didn't, and I'm very excited to talk about this movie because I will definitely defend it. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a very decent, action film, and I do agree with you, Saber. I don't know what the heck they're saying, science fiction action thriller film. I'm like, it's more an action thriller film. I mean, I don't know what they're. I think they. I don't know, because John Carpenter was in this. Like he wrote it, and they thought like maybe to like connect it to Escape from New York or something like that. Like if you look at the posters, like it looks so, I don't know, sci-fi. I guess I don't know. It's a very odd way to describe your film. I mean, it's very grounded. Grounded in reality. In the '80s, that's possible. Except for the car thing. But yeah, so that's all I have to say. Decent film, very excited. I'll be the only one that liked the film, and I'll probably give it a high grade. Not a high grade, but like a decent grade. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, sir. Thank you. Going over to you, Tim. Same question, sir. Overall thoughts on Tommy Lee and Linda going into this film?
Yeah, I got to say, I was actually pretty excited to want to watch this. Being probably the only one in this room old enough to have lived through the 80s and rented such movies, I had not remembered seeing this one on the shelf. And I will say, when I looked it up and it was like, oh, this is sci-fi, now I'm really invested in it for sure. And, and it's got a cast that, how can you not be excited? We all know Tommy Lee Jones, Linda Hamilton, those are names we all know. They've been in all kinds of films that we're familiar with. Robert Vaughn for me is one too, because I watch a lot of old TV shows. So Man from U.N.C.L.E., we know that's where he's from. So yeah, I was all ready to get into this. Although I looked at the cover art, I was kind of surprised for an '80s film, kind of bland. I mean, a lot of stuff that caught your attention in the video store was really cool, crazy sci-fi covers that were way cooler than the actual movie. So this one, it looks a little sci-fi, but overall it's kind of bland. So I'm guessing that's why it never really caught my attention. But back then I don't even remember if I watched this one. This may have been my first viewing, or I may not have watched it since the 80s. I can't remember. I watched a lot of good and bad 80s films. But I would know at that time, Tommy Lee Jones, not quite a household name yet. He really kind of hits his stride in the 90s, and hits a stride, especially with me in the 90s, because he goes and he does, what is Under Siege. That's kind of where I start to pick up on Tommy Lee Jones as an actor in the early 90s. And I start following his career a lot closer. Linda Hamilton, we know that she just got done doing the Terminator before she did this one. Definitely a step down from her. I think she did like one of their probably made for TV film between these two, but she was definitely not a household name yet in any way, shape, or form. But going at it from today, I was super excited to see it, super excited. And I will say a bit of a letdown. I'm not going to say it was solely rests on their shoulders as actors. I think it's more the script and the directing and probably lack of budget to fully envision the actual script that John Carpenter wrote, because I know they really had to tone it down because it would have cost a fortune for them to make the real script. So I think it has a lot of problems in those areas. But even though you didn't ask, Robert Vaughn, great villain in this too. And if you, again, were, of that era, he was still a pretty hot commodity coming off Man from Uncle in the 60s, doing a lot of spy films in the 70s. So you knew who he was, made a great bad guy.
Agreed. Excellent. Yeah. Under Siege was definitely, I don't think a lot of people remember that he was the bad guy in that, or they don't remember him because they think of Steven Seagal usually for, the Under Siege films. They don't think about the other people usually, unless you reference something about the film. Then they're like, oh yeah, I remember Tommy Lee was the bad guy, or Erica Olinka was in it and she jumps out of a cake topless,
After her, it's pretty hard to remember him.
yeah. You got Erica Olinka. I can't forget. Anyways, going over to you, Jeff, sir. Same question, sir. Your thoughts going into this about Tommy Lee Jones and Linda Hamilton?
Yes, sir. I do think that depending on age, of course, being a really important factor, that a lot of folks, especially folks from back in the day, who were of age and watched Under Siege, that a lot of them are aware of Tommy Lee being in that film and being the villain. He's an important factor of the film, even though he doesn't get a ton of screen time in that movie. But he's a very that's a bit that, as opposed to Black Moon Rising, that's actually a very great instance of casting for him, I believe, in his career, where that was a really good fit for him. He was a great villain in that movie, he also, I of course would have no idea how much of his action scenes he actually did himself, but assuming he did some of them himself, which I think he did, he actually did a really good job, mixing it up with Seagal, in that film, in that final fight scene, with the knife fighting and everything and all that, that was actually really, really well done. So I certainly will never forget that performance by him, because it was one of his best, I think. Tommy Lee Jones is such a goddamn legit professional actor, that I can only imagine what he must have thought of fucking working with Steven Seagal on that goddamn film, after some of the things I've heard about Steven Seagal from people over the years, you know what I'm saying, about what he's like to be around and work with on films and stuff like that, he is an interesting fucking character, to say the least. His one-time fucking reality show that he was on some goddamn network, where he was a member of some,
he was a cop,
police department or sheriff's department or whatever in some goddamn town, in Louisiana or Arkansas or whatever, was goddamn hilarious because it was so stupid.
I love that series.
So stupid, so dumb, bro, so stupid. That motherfucker is out there, goddamn, with guns and shit, goddamn arresting people and shit, and he's supposed to be just like a fucking advisor or whatever, he's not even a real cop, But anyways, that's for another day, that topic. I don't know, man. I just feel like you know, I've always understood personally, from my take on like what I've always grasped compared to like yours, Cyber, or Andre's or Tim's, right? From I've always understood of Tommy Lee Jones' career, he did not really take off until he was in The Fugitive. He had not really become like a sort of at one time quasi like A-list sort of talent actor, which he was for 1 minute, until Fugitive came out, right?
Yes,
so
because that one was where he won the Oscar for supporting actor. So yeah.
No, okay, yeah.
It really brought him to the forefront.
Yes. So I mean, I was not aware of this film until you picked it, Cyber. And I absolutely never heard of it. I mean, I know most sci-fi films from the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. I never heard of it. I don't know how this is even a sci-fi film, to be honest with you. I mean, having a stolen futuristic car or whatever the fuck is going on in this movie is that sci-fi. That does not make a movie sci-fi.
Oh no! See, I think you're incorrect. I think it's because it took the flight panels from the Battlestar Galactica Vipers and put it into this car, and then they could call it sci-fi. That's the only thing. That's all I can see is that it's that panel that's in the car that makes this whole movie a sci-fi film.
I guess. I mean, I guess, sir. Whatever with the panels. This is not a sci-fi movie. There's nothing sci-fi going on that I noticed, unless I missed something.
No, I concur.
Nothing happened in the movie that's sci-fi related, and even the goddamn description of the film it does not mention sci-fi. It literally says some guy who's a fucking government agent or whatever gets given a mission to go steal some tapes or whatever, and it ends up being a car or whatever. That's the fucking description. There's no sci-fi in that. So I don't know. I just want to point out that that's a big dismotor. I thought I was going to watch a sci-fi movie earlier, and I'm like, I did not see one goddamn element of sci-fi occur during the movie. So it's,
Do you think it's because it was written by John Carpenter and they just associate him with sci-fis?
I don't know. It's very honestly, it's very. I mean, now that I think about it, it's very surprising and mystifying because honestly, what's up, Andres?
I think that's what they did. Like, I think that's what the studio did. It's like, because they had John Carpenter, they thought that they can lie to the movie audience of that day. They're like, this is a sci-fi film, and like,
I guess I mean. Anybody who watches the movie can tell it's not a sci-fi movie. There's not a single sci-fi element at any point in the movie, which I've never seen that before. In any other that I ever noticed before in the past. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've never watched a movie in the past ever, and then talked about it afterwards or whatever. And like, it was a sci-fi movie, and then it ended up being that there was no sci-fi stuff in it. I've never had that experience until now, so it's a very new thing for me, And I don't know how often it happens in Hollywood, but it's very, very misleading.
Because they had a hydrodynamic powered racing car. I guess that's kind of futuristic.
There's nothing. A futuristic car is not sci-fi. Personally, I don't think. And also, honestly, let's be realistic here. That futuristic sci-fi car, that movie is not that well done. Looking or anything, it's not very futuristic. Anyways, I mean, I like Tommy Lee Jones. I just don't know if this film is the best fit for him in terms of, what the best fit is for his talents, his strengths as an actor. I feel like there's other actors that would be a better fit for this film, for this role than him. you know, it's weird because it's the same thing with Linda Hamilton. You know, I just, you know, I like Linda Hamilton. I think, you know, she, of course, deserves credit for all the, you know, great work she did to the Terminator franchise. I liked seeing her again, personally. In that last Terminator film that came out, whatever years ago, however many years ago. Some people didn't like seeing her. They didn't think she was very good in the movie, I guess. I thought she was great. I liked her appearance in that film. I thought she was good in the movie. I liked seeing her. And, you know, I did not feel like she hurt the movie at all. You know, personally, I didn't think she did. I didn't think she was too old or like, you know, or whatever to, you know, to do the stunts or anything like that. She seemed okay to me. Now I will say that, her, a casting of, in Stranger Things season 5, as a, villain, you know, was not, the best fit for her. You know, I don't know. It could have been the writing. You know, I mean, you know, there could have been there could have been other things besides her acting or her fit. You know, her fit. But I don't know. A lot of people did not like her in Stranger Things, and I did not think that her role was very good. Honestly, it did not help the show. You know, she had a very limited role in the season that she was in. They did not give her a lot to work with. She was in very, very limited scenes as a villain. So that's tough for any actor, you know? Unfortunately, that was not a automatic, you know, win for her. You know, in Stranger Things. That was not the best fit. And I agree with that, that sentiment. But, I don't know, you know, it was definitely, neat seeing her so young in the movie. I like that. That was definitely interesting, you know. She looked very goddamn young, you know. So that was, you know, interesting. And I like her as an actress. I think that, again, like I mentioned earlier in the studio with you guys, I mean, she's a very, you know, like a lot of other actresses in Hollywood currently and in the past, she's not the, you know, the most multi, you know, talented type of actress out there, you know. She's a very narrow actress when it comes to, like, her roles that she's going to be good at, and her acting abilities, you know. She is not going to fit in just any role you put her in the movie. You know, it just doesn't work. Some certain roles just don't work for her. She's great as Sarah Connor in the Terminator. That is absolutely like a 10 out of 10 for her. Perfect casting. You know, but I don't know. When you start putting her in more of a feminine role, where she has to do love scenes and be romantic and be sexy and attractive on scene and stuff like that, and pull that off to, you know, that kind of deal, you know, that's just not her forte. Like there's other actresses that excel at that. But that's not her. You know, and you know, if you try to pair her in some sort of romantic movie, you know, where she's got to be, you know, paired up with a guy, you know, in a couple, in a relationship, in some kind of, you know, couple movie or sort of comedy movie or something like that, that's not going to work for Linda Hamilton. For one thing, she doesn't do comedy. You know, there's nothing, she doesn't have any comedic ability at all. She has a very serious, sort of, demeanor and, tone, you know, a very almost like sort of masculine vibe, energy at times on screen as an actress. You know, that just does not gel well. Again, with being partnered with another actor in some sort of relationship in a movie. That just it's not a great fit for her. I don't see it being natural for her. And that's why you've never seen her, throughout all the years where she was a viable actress that could have been cast in a lot of different films. You never saw her really being cast in a lot of films. Because she chose not to be in them. Yes, that's definitely a fact. From what I understand about her career, she's not always been the most active actor out there when it comes to working in Hollywood. I believe she has turned down roles many times in the past where directors and stuff wanted her in big roles in films, and she turned them down. So there is that with her, I don't think she's always been the most available actress out there to get in Hollywood. She's been in some movies besides The Terminator, and done some stuff, but not a lot, and again, that's sort of why I think it's because she's just, she's a good fit for certain things, and not so good with others, she's not Kate Winslet, she's not Scarlett Johansson,
Nobody's Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, she just doesn't have that sort of depth.
No, nothing will beat her. Nothing will beat our girl, Scarlett Johansson.
Well, I mean, but there's better actresses out there than her, but
oh yeah. There's plenty, but yeah. In terms of beauty, yeah.
I mean, Emily Blunt is good, is another good one too. She can do anything really, kind of. You know what I mean? You can put her in any role, and she's good. And again, Linda Hamilton doesn't have that sort of acting ability, unfortunately.
I think when she locks in, she locks in. She's had 3 really good TV series appearances where she was in Chuck, Defiance, and she was in Resident Alien. She did really good at all 3 of those, I think.
If it's a good fit for her, then yeah, she can be a plus on a TV show or like in a movie. If it's a good fit, yeah. Honestly, I guarantee you that there were probably other big directors out there in the 80s after Terminator came out that probably tried to cast her in other films based off of the popularity from the Terminator. But you never saw her really in much of anything, in all honesty, in the 80s and 90s. She did not make a lot of films, yeah, I mean, all I can really say, Cyber, is that I don't believe that this movie that we're reviewing tonight was the best fit for either one of Tommy Lee or of Linda Hamilton. I don't think it was, the best fit for them. I could be wrong, but that's just my take. But they're both good actors, and they've done a lot of good things in Hollywood, in film. And, they deserve a lot of praise for the work they put in, in Hollywood. They're, thank God they're both alive, and still, and, good for them, because they're getting old. Honestly, Linda Hamilton's getting pretty old. So, I mean, that Stranger Things spot might be the last time we see her in anything, to be honest with you, The chances of them rolling her out for another goddamn Terminator film are slim. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it happen at this point, That last movie was her last shebang as being a Terminator. But that's pretty much it, Cyber. Again, I never heard of this movie at all, ever. Not even an utterance of it until today. Or, until you told me about it. And I wrote it down. I didn't even know it existed. I saw it was a sci-fi movie, and I'm like, wow, that's weird. I've never heard of this, and it's a sci-fi movie? Wow. But again, there's no sci-fi in the movie. So it's strange, how that worked out. But that's it, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, So, like I said, came out in 1986, released on January 10th, 1986. Made for a budget of $3 million, ended up making $6.5 million at the box office. So it did double its money, so that's pretty good. Like everyone's kind of mentioned, John Carpenter was a writer on the film, a part of the screenplay. He wrote the story and then helped write the screenplay with William Gray and Desmond Nakano. Yeah, I'm surprised that it ended up actually doubling its money. I'm really shocked because, like everyone said, this sci-fi movie is not sci-fi. Like, I was watching it thinking to myself the same thing, like, where's the sci-fi? But I do have to agree because I believe it's supposed to be set in the future. They got the gas prices right because, you know, in fucking California, there's $11 gas there. So I think they got something right. They knew something was coming. But anyways, getting into the actual film, we're going to start off here at the very beginning, folks. So get ready. All right. So Sam Quint, Tommy Lee Jones' character, is a former thief hired by the FBI to steal a computer disk, which contains incriminating evidence against the Lucky Dollar Corporation of Las Vegas. After stealing the disk, Quint is pursued by Marvin Ringer, another former thief and acquaintance who works for the company. At the same time, a prototype vehicle called the Black Moon, which can reach speeds of 325 miles per hour and runs on tap water, is being tested in the desert by Earl Wyndham. Quint and Wyndham later cross paths at a gas station, where Quint hides the disc in the back bumper of the Black Moon. Wyndham is hauling the Black Moon to L.A., and Quint, still being pursued by Ringer and his men, follows Wyndham and his team there. So we'll stop there. So what do you guys think about this beginning? Kind of getting introduced to Tommy Lee, getting introduced to these characters, Robert Vaughn, all those good people. Richard Jackal, Bubba Smith. I thought it was hilarious that Bubba Smith was in this, that he plays that kind of a usually, you know, big broody guy, you know, but it was funny seeing him like kind of speak more fluid, more eloquent. I think that was kind of funny. And I was like thinking to myself, like, wow, he was playing like kind of like a more serious role here. I was like, that's pretty interesting. But what are you guys' thoughts, you know, basically on this beginning section, the introduction of the car, the introduction leading up to, you know, that kind of confrontation at the gas station, and you know, Quint basically stashing that drive in the vehicle that gets stolen. So what are you guys' thoughts on that beginning? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, look, like, you know, the way the movie starts out, I mean, again, like with Tommy Lee Jones and play this character, I mean, you know, he's at the gas station, the guy goes in to rob it, and I don't know, like, Tommy Lee's supposed to just kind of like make some quippy remarks or whatever to the robber, you know, as like his only sort of action against the robbery, you know what I'm saying? You know, sort of this, you know, humorous, you know, dialogue against, you know, towards him. And I don't know, man. It just doesn't really work, you know, with him, with Tommy Lee. Like, it doesn't really, he doesn't have that in him, I guess. I don't know. I didn't find it very entertaining or like very funny or whatever was trying to like mean or emote or whatever in that scene. I don't know. I would like that if he would have just stopped the robber, you know, or whatever, you know. You know, so I mean, I really wasn't sure what was going on in the beginning. You know, I did not grasp in that, you know, that you know, that was like him being given his mission or whatever, you know, there. Like, I kind of got that, but I was sort of murky on the details as far as like what exactly the objectives of his mission were. I was sort of missing that out of it, you know. Of course, I later found out and discovered and like figured out, you know, what it was. But for a while there, I had no idea. You know, and I mean, you know, I thought that the black dude that popped up in the suit and was like, you know, hard talking Tommy, you know, Lee, you know, his character in the movie there, was sort of intimidating as you know, that guy was, that actor, you know, he was not the, you know, most superb actor out there, you know, with that character or anything, but he certainly was imposing, you know, so, you know, he had that going on, you know, I guess he was like a government agent, that guy, that black guy, if I understand the movie correctly. And that's like what his capacity was in the film, was like a government agent kind of, you know? So yeah, I mean, you know, I will say that one thing that's probably a positive for the movie, especially in the beginning, is that there's no like really awful fucking 80s music in this film going on, you know? Thank God they did not insert any of that in this movie, you know? There's no like horrible fucking 80s opening song in this movie to listen to, you know? Because if that had happened, that would have been like a, you know, sort of just fucking, I'm just gonna kill myself sort of moment, you know? Thank God that did not happen. You know, so yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that their whole setup in this film at the beginning here of establishing Tommy Lee as like Rex or whatever, this, you know, sort of secret agency, you know, fucking, you know, guy or whatever that he is in this movie. I don't know. It doesn't work all that well, you know. That's just my take, Cyber. Personally. So yes, sir. I thought that also the opening computer generated lettering or writing that they have in this movie that kind of starts things off was sort of sci-fi like. On all honesty, that was one element for 1 second in the movie where it was sort of sci-fi, but that's it. After that, there's no sci-fi at all. So I just wanted to point that out. So there is something sci-fi related going on right there in the beginning. But after that, nothing. That's it, Cyber.
Okay, thank you. Going over to you, Mr. Tim. Your thoughts, sir, on this section of the film?
I was kind of excited when we first started it because that very beginning scene we see at the gas station convenience store, the time Lee Jones goes into with the kid that's holding it up. I'd seen that actually in a YouTube short. So I'm like, oh, I've seen clips from this. This must actually be a fairly popular movie. But as Jeff points out, it kind of goes nowhere. And you're kind of like, all right, I guess he's not really going to do anything. And there's that little huff of like, yeah, I don't know, happiness that nothing really came of it. The kid just kind of ran out and left, and then they kind of go in the credits and they roll. And I think what this movie suffers from is a couple of things right out the gate and I think for an 80s movie, it's forgivable, but when you put it up against movies today, not so much. And that's one, it probably needed a little quick like film segment where it shows Tommy Lee Jones as what he did before, because we know he's some kind of freelance agent that I'm going to guess worked for the government, but whether he was some kind of Navy SEAL, some kind of Green Beret, CIA spook or whatever. Like maybe just a little like here was his last mission, a quick little, like 2 or 3 minute thing showing him going through something and like this is my last mission. So you kind of get that background of who he is or what it was that he was doing before. And so I think we were really missing that because we only understand that he's some kind of freelance operator when he starts to interact with Bubba Smith Johnson's character, and I guess we get a little bit of it when he's kind of breaking into this building too. And I think the other thing that suffers from is that these movies that we see now, the professionalism of the operators is there. I mean, these guys, these actors that we have now, Chris, Hemsworth, Keanu Reeves, Alan Richardson, they all really study the characters and try to become as professional in their presentation of these characters that they're playing, these operators. And you can tell this was just kind of a very loose 80s like interpretation of how this should work. Not a lot of thought put into it, probably not a lot of training, a lot of research, just, I'm kind of an operator. Okay, I kind of play this guy. The text seems very weak because you're watching them take that little thing, put it over the keypad. It's flashing a bunch of LED lights on it. And all of a sudden the door opens. Like, no, that doesn't work at all. Like, you'd have to touch the keys and try to break the sequence or something. You could tell it's ridiculous sci-fi FX, not even sci-fi, just bad Hollywood FX, like almost James Bond gadgetry that they're trying to pass off as high tech. And it's not passing mustard as far as I'm concerned. So it just feels like a really bad James Bond segment, like a James Bond wannabe segment to me. Not very believable. And then you get to, again, when he finally meets up with, Bubba Smith and his counterpart, I don't know who the other guy was, who's, I guess, quote unquote, his handler. He's super unprofessional too. He just kind of shows up out of nowhere and he's just kind of thrown down. And it's kind of hard to already see Bubba Smith in that role. Don't get me wrong. He's a huge dude, played football for a lot of years. But we're used to seeing him in police academies. So it's like, yeah, I'm really having a hard time. I mean, I guess he kind of plays like the intimidation factor guy in the police academy films, but overall it's such a silly series of films that it's hard to take him seriously in this kind of role, other than his just massive demeanor kind of demands that respect. But his just kind of throwing down and trying to be heavy-handed with Tommy Lee Jones just seems disingenuous and not in any way, shape, or form the way I would expect a government official to handle or to deal with an operative like that. So it almost takes me out of the film completely right out the gate as far as that goes. It's just very cookie cutter in its presentation. It's not super special, not super believable. And again, I don't think it's necessarily the actors. I think it's just poor script, poor direction. And, again, I don't think there was a lot of money. I mean, don't get me wrong. You said was $3 million. There's a lot of money to have in a film, but probably a lot of that went to that car. So outside of that, they're not spending a lot of money for effects or anything like that in this film. So it suffers from a lot of that, and it becomes just very mediocre all the way down the line.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. All right. Going over to you, Mr. Andreas, the pop culture guy. Your thoughts are on the beginning of the film, leading up to, Quint still being pursued by Ringer and his men and follows Wyndham and his team there.
Yeah, sure. It's a decent opening, I gotta say. It help us introduce the main character of Sam Quentin. Very jump culture name, I have to say. Piggybacking on Tim about that opening, the opening of the what do you call it, the convenience store or gas station, whatever you want to call it, where Tommy Lee Jones is getting coffee and then some random robber comes in. Like, I see that clip. I was like, wait a minute, that's the clip from Black Rising. I was like, oh, that's where I, because I saw a long time ago, and I didn't know. Maybe I forgot it was from this movie because I think it was in like a compensation like video or something like that. But whatever. Very funny scene. It's supposed to show you how like Quentin is this very thoughtful, like, statistic thief, like he's not your usual thief that you usually see in movies, or stuff like the classic Hollywood thieves in the I don't know, going age and so on, the 70s you know crime stories. Like this is trying to be like the thief, Michael Mann's like movie back in 81 starring James Caan, the late great James Caan. um like he's this very like kind of like Robert De Niro's character. He like very focused and like no nonsense, and like he doesn't get under pressure like a lot of criminals or like people like that like usually do. The fact that he like trick the boy, talking to him, and like show him the camera, and then like trick him that Sirens was going for him, but it sounded like the Sirens was just doing something else, like the police was doing some other call or something like that. Like really good, thoughtful thing. But then I agree with you guys. Like after that, it's like, wait a minute, why we need that clip? Like just open up with the car and because like that, like it was such a weird opening for like an introduction for this character. Um yeah, so I was very happy I seen that clip. I was like, oh wait, that's where the movie is coming from. And by the way, like, so you're telling me a former thief is hired by the FBI, trying to steal this computer disk to this company called the Lucky Dollar Corporation of Las Vegas, and we don't even like see a logo or anything like that to like know that this is like a Lucky Dollar Corporation. I don't know. I agree.
There was one sign, Andreas, that actually named
Oh really?
them. Yeah, there was
Name
one.
them.
In there.
Okay, because I mean, I was watching this on my phone. And I was like, where was this? I mean, where's the name? I mean, I thought they were very cheap, but no, no. But yeah, the gadgets were so cheap. Like I was like, it was like you were in the $6 Million Man show, or like the Charlie Angel show, like the gadgets they always displays, like it was like that level of cheesiness. It was like you were back in the '60s of the Star Trek or Lost in Space shows with those like big like gadgets they have. Like I was like, whoa, what kind of gadget is that? Like, I mean, we were thinking small during the '80s, for God's sake. Yeah, and then like, oh, it's in the cassette, like very 80s. I was like, wait a minute, you're telling me in the future, you think you could, I don't know, like thought about CD, like something that predicted the future, but no, it was a cassette, obviously. Um, yeah, and oh, sorry, and then he gets out, meet this character named Marvin Rinner, who's like a comparator of him. He's like the same. He's like the equal to Quentin. He's okay, like another adversary. But I don't know why we needed. Um, I think we just needed Robert Vaughn's character. I felt like the Marvin Rinner character was kind of like wasting space, or like for me, like we'll get into it. My biggest problem is like the main A storyline about the car is more intriguing, and I like that more than this whole cassette thing. And like I don't know why they thought to maybe make that as the thing to drive Tom Lee's character to like go after the car. Like I think he should have like took over Linda's character's role of like him being a thief stealing cars, and that he wanted to get out, and like he was helping FBI to like get the dirt on Robert Vaughn's character. Like that could have been a more clean slate of a plot for this film, instead of this like complicated like like, oh, he needs to get the cassette, and then it's involved with this car, and he has to help these people to get the car. Like it was just like totally complicated for no reason.
It's almost like they're trying to figure out how to horseshoe in the car somehow. Like, how do we get the car onto the screen? Yeah,
the screen. Yeah, and I'm like, just make the car the main plot. I don't care. Like that's the MacGuffin. Like why we need the cassette to be the MacGuffin? That doesn't make sense. Like like it's like we forget about the cassette thing. Like towards the end of the movie when he like gets out of the car and he takes it out, and then all of a sudden the ringer came out of nowhere in the second tower in the ending. We'll get into. I was like, what the heck? What the hell? Um, yeah, so that's the issue I have with that. And then just wrapping up, after that, we see the test of the Black Moon car, which is cool. I don't know. It reminded me of a movie or something like that you saw, like one of those cars being super speed like that. It's always cool to see that, like the testing of these like fast cars or fast machines, whatnot. Um, yeah, then like how convenient that Tom Lee Jones character meets up with the engineers of this Black Moon car and then placed the cassette there. I was like, oh wow, okay, all right, interesting. And then all of a sudden, uh, Winter finds him there, and then that's where the plot goes to like, uh, you know, to the extreme there. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I thought the opening was decent, nothing spectacular. And speaking of the casting, I think the guy who's from the police academy, who's like what the main not the main captain, but like the secondary captain,
Bubba Smith.
uh,
Bubba Smith, yeah.
Bubba Smith. Yeah, if John Carpenter directed this movie, I could totally see Keith David to play that character, like this the tough, guy FBI agent, or something like the late great Tony Todd. Like I could totally see him play that role. Especially his voice is like, oh my god, so iconic. I didn't mind his performance. I thought he was like believable as a badass, like a tough, FBI agent. But like, it's just like, you know, we don't see him enough in the movie, and you know, it's like, we're just doing the typical things like, okay, sir, like, give me my cassette. You had 3 days to get this, and it's like, oh God, so, and are we talking about Lita Hampton's character as well, Cyber? I just want to make sure I don't go too far. Um, in the review. No.
Where again?
Okay.
What? Where? What?
Are we talking about Linda's character Nia
No, I think
in this section?
they stopped just before
Okay.
that.
No,
Yeah.
this is
Okay.
right
Yeah.
when they go up to the gas station, basically.
Yeah.
The gas station. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But if
okay,
I could add
thank
on
you,
to
'cause-
something that Andreas was saying, though, I think
Yeah, go
you're
ahead.
right, Andreas. I think they clumsily tried to figure out how to shoehorn in the car, and the reason is because in the '80s, the cars were as big of a star as the actors were, and I mean, you could see it like every
Yes.
year of the '80s has a car that's the star of either a TV series or a movie. And I mean, if you kind of go down the list, you starts off in 1980 with the Magnum PI Ferrari, and then you get to 81 with the Cannonball Run. You got the Lamborghini, and 82 we get Knight Rider, which this car has already got some very Knight Rider-esque features. You get to 83. I don't know if you guys remember Hardcastle McCormick. He had that Coyote X, which was like a weird kick car that was really cool.
Yeah.
Then we get to 84, we get the Ghostbusters. It's just
Oh,
a
yeah,
standard
the
Cadillac
front.
ambulance, but it's all decked out like it's an iconic car now. By the time we get to 85, you're looking at the crazy DeLorean from Back to the Future.
But the future.
86,
Yeah.
you got this, but what overshadows this? Well, it's the Wraith. You got that really cool car, that Turbo Interceptor from the Wraith. And, in 87, we got one of your favorites. We got the Aston Martin from the Living Daylights. 88's the only weird one where you got this weird movie called like It Takes Two, and they got this Torvoa Spear SL, which is like a Lamborghini Countach knockoff. And then in 89, what do we get?
Batmobile.
You get the Batmobile. So the cars were, they were as big of a star as any of the named actors that were there. And so they were really trying hard to make this car the star of the film. And I don't think they knew how to do it. They just didn't. So they just shoehorned it in and trying to figure out how to get it in this movie. And it just does not ever come to be a main character in the film for the most part. I don't think. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but that's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just wrapping up my section, my part of this, the beginning part. Yeah, when we see the car, I'm like, it's so goofy because, as you were saying, Tim, the list of the cars you just brought up, what was unique about them? They were first off, they were based on real cars that was pre-existing, like the Back to the Future car, the Ghostbusters car, and it was cool how they used the movie magic to create something so totally unique. I mean, the Ghostbusters, car is basically the Batmobile. Like
Right,
it's a
right.
superhero car. And it's like that's why I love Ghostbusters. Like they so like I know they're paranormal investigators, but like they're literally like the superhero team. That's why I love about them. And then the Back to the Future, I like when I got into Back to the Future, I was like, oh, that's such a perfect time travel thing. Use a car. Don't use a freezer, as the initial like scripting ideas they were doing for the Back to the Future first film. It's like perfect. The car makes sense to just time travel. It's awesome. And yeah, Batmobile. We already had like a pre-existing Batmobile with the '60s car, but the way that the '89 did it was like totally like just took what we knew about Batman from the '60s show and just took it to the next level. Like if you knew about the existing stuff that Batman had, from the comics or from the '60s show in general. Yeah, this one was just like just didn't have the money. They just didn't had the 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 right team to create this like maybe iconic card, because the car is
Right.
just very lame. It looks like a Tesla car basically from today. I'm like
It
every time you
actually
see
is a
the
legit
Tesla,
car, though. It's a one of a kind, one off. It's a
yeah,
Wingo Concordia 2. They made one of them. That was it. This was the car. So
yeah.
they had to create a second one so they have a stunt car. So there's only two of them in the world.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah. What is funny is that's the same thing with the Back to the Future, right? Because that car in Back to the Future was like, you know, like not popular, and then like somehow they, like I think they couldn't make this car believable and make it cool, but it's just I don't think they had the right team to deliver that. So that's my thoughts on the opening. I think the car is lackluster. It just doesn't deliver on what Tim said, the '80s cars of iconicness. And I mean, I'm not surprised that we have car like this type of movie with this car, because like remember the '80s was all about excess, and like now it was like all about the things that were like TV, you know. Uh, anything like music or cars you could own, like that was what the '80s was, like so much excess and you could buy it, which is not true, and they were very expensive. So don't buy this knockoff car from Knight Rider and all that, So that's all I have to say about the opening of the movie.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good job, everyone. Yeah, the opening for me, it was, pretty basic for me too. I thought that, like I said, I thought seeing the gas prices was the only thing to me that seemed accurately like it was going to be the future. And I just like remember watching the beginning going, I don't really feel this is sci-fi. So I was like really shocked that this was considered a sci-fi film. All right. So moving on. So in LA, Quint meets with FBI agent Johnson and demands double pay and a clean passport so he can retire, since he is now dealing with Ringer. Quint tails Wyndham and the Black Moon to a posh restaurant where Wyndham is negotiating a deal to sell the prototype to a car manufacturer. Before Quint can get to the desk, a group of auto thieves led by Nina steals all of the cars in the parking lot, including the Black Moon, off of its trailer. Quint gives chase and tracks the cars to an office tower, but loses them in the parking garage. Inside the garage, Quint is seen on the security cameras, but no one recognizes him. Back at the restaurant, Quint is warned by Johnson that he will not get paid, and the government's case against the Lucky Dollar will be thrown out of court unless the disc is returned within 3 days. Quint then goes to Wyndham and his team and asks for their help in getting the car back, but they refuse, insisting that they go to the police first. So we'll stop there. What are you guys' thoughts on this section? Basically, the stealing of the car, dealing more with Bubba Smith, and then of course, kind of the tailing that Quint is doing throughout this section, and kind of being introduced to the stealing crowd that we'll really get into in the next section. And I'll start with you, Andreas.
Oh, I kind of like this section. I mean, the selling of the cars was pretty cool. One thing I will appreciate about this movie, at least we saw the car being used, so that was the good thing. Because after that, is like we don't see it until the finale. So they did a good job with that. And at first, I did remember this part. Like I was like, wait a minute, I thought she was blonde in the movie, and then I forgot she was wearing a wig. I'm like, that's a disguise. I'm like, I don't know. You should try it better because like you wearing a curly wig is like kind of obvious. Like, could have gone something like a bob haircut. I don't know. I don't know. I'm overthinking about this whole heist card thing, But unfortunately, the movie is overcomplicating itself. So yeah, it was cool to see Quentin like tell the car throughout the sequence because it's the only part that was really exciting of the film because this is where you get like a little bit of the action here with the car, like in terms of car chase, because that's one thing I think is kind of disappointing is the action, and it's like you don't like it. I. I think that's one of the things that's kind of disappointing. It's like you should have had maybe something more like gunfight or some car chase. Like this should have been a very good car chase, but we just don't get that, unfortunately. And introducing uh Nia here in this section was very interesting. Seeing okay, what's her part of the story? It was funny that they're selling this prototype car to the Italian, if I'm mistaken, right? Of government or what's going on? Like a corporate. That's the part I was like kind of confused. Like, wait a minute, you're selling this highly advanced uh car to the Italian country? I'm
I
like,
don't think they were
oh,
selling Andres. I think they were trying to
oh,
get seed money for more research into the
research.
engine
Okay,
as a viable engine for the future.
to the future. Okay, okay. So thank you because I was a little confused about it because it was towards the end. They say like forget about the Italians. Let's go to I don't know whatever they brought up. But yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because yeah, well that's another thing that was where like a lot of the sci-fi it trying to be a sci-fi thing is so lousily put together. Like you bring up this part about like the like making a very what do you call it a uh, a usable energy for the engine. That's a unique idea. That's something that Doc Brown actually did in the sequels of Back to the Future, right? Because the first one was all about Newtonian radioactive material for the car, so I get that the logic of trying to use a very usable energy source that's not like dangerous to the earth and all that. That makes sense. But I wanted more context about like what this edge is running besides water. Like it should be more detailed. But okay, whatever. Um, yeah, yeah. We see Bubba Smith again. He's doing his tough guy persona. It's like, listen, man, get the tape. You got 3 days. Like now we got a time limit to get this car. The cassette, which I don't care about. And also like we don't like I don't understand the case against this company. That's like another issue. It's like you're you're getting this case that I don't understand, and like they just say against the case is like you don't know the details. So like it's just really like I don't care about this subplot about the case, the cassette and all that. And it was really cool. Like towards just wrapping up the section, it's like it's really cool to see like the headout of the bad guys. Like okay, where they went. They're actually on the other door. And one thing I would say it was kind of stupid was why Quentin just stand and look at the camera. Like I get you saw the camera, but you just made yourself out with the bad guy. Later on, and like he's gonna show it off to uh to Nia later on with the betrayal and all that, right? So like I'm like Tommy Lee Jones, Quentin, stop standing there. You're just making yourself foolish. Um, but yeah. So this section was decent. It was fun. I was happy to see a car chase, but not spectacular. So that's all I have to say.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. Going up to you, Mr. Tim. Your thoughts on this section, sir? Leading up to, of course, the insisting that they go to the police first when Quint talks to Wyndham and his team.
Sure. This is where the movie gets silly for me, because I feel like the car heist is almost straight out of like Batman 66. You have Nina sitting there. She calls in like, I'm going to need, some reinforcements. I don't exactly remember what she says. And then these two vans pull up and these guys come pouring out like a bunch of Joker henchmen. I was just dying at that. They're just flying around. They're grabbing keys. They're stealing these cars. It was so unbelievable, but entertaining in the way that it was executed, I guess. Tommy Lee Jones kind of figures it out. He watches Nina get into the, basically into the super cool car, which coincidentally easily all of a sudden has ramps that she can drive off of. She's able to get into the cockpit of this car, figure out how to start it, because it's not a normal vehicle. It's not like it's turnkey. She's hitting buttons and stuff, just knows how all this stuff works right out the gate, even though it's a quote unquote futuristic, and we'll say it for the sake of the movie, sci-fi car, is able to start driving through the city. And then you got Tommy Lee Jones chasing her in the world's most pathetic Mustang, in the world's most pathetic car chase through a city with the least amount of traffic I've ever seen. And when you really think about this car that she's driving, this, Black Moon Rising car, this is not a car that's built to be street legal. This is a car that they're bringing out to the desert to prove not only can it use water as fuel, but how fast can they get the engine to go. So this is essentially one of those desert rocket cars. It's not going to handle well in the city. It probably doesn't got great turn ratios and things like that, but yet she's still managing to keep ahead of him. And then she finds the world's most deserted tunnel in what I'm guessing is New York City. I'm not sure what city they're supposed to be in, or is it San Francisco? I don't know, but
LA.
Regardless,
They're in LA.
Okay, LA. And she goes through this tunnel and then manages to figure out how to turn all the rocket stuff on, and goes through this tunnel, which is long, but it can't be that long. I would think that rocket would just probably push her all the way to the other side. She ended up crashing it, but she doesn't, and he kind of loses or whatever. And then he wanders around and then miraculously figures out that she somehow has parked this car into a couple of semis, which then are hauling the vehicles off, and he follows them because he has this instinct, because I guess he's some kind of super cool, former operator. And then they're bringing it to these buildings that stick out like a sore thumb, like they're, miniature versions of the Twin Towers. And they're driving these semis that have no reason to be going down into a completely, perfectly deserted parking garage. And then they go into the super secret panel to, deliver them into the interior of the building. Now, I'm sorry, if you're running the world's most expensive chop shop, I don't think you're going to have the front doors of your parking garage just open for anybody to wander in at all hours of the day and night, regardless of whether they're being built or not. It seems like with all this, sophisticated technology that they have, cameras and stuff, they might have one of those little Radio Shack ding dong, beepers that, if somebody drives through the garage door, it would alert you that somebody's in the garage. And they're just wandering around these perfectly empty, lit up garages that have nobody in it. And nobody's even questioning them as to why he's there, So it's just so completely unbelievable that you're kind of dumbfounded while you're watching it, and slightly weirdly entertained at the same time, because it's just so stupid that you can't believe this actually got made into a movie for a lot of reasons. It's just poorly executed, but it gets us to the next point in the film. So, I guess it's got that going for it. And there's the irony that, years later, Tommy Lee Jones would have his own vehicle that he's going to rocket propel through a large tunnel in another movie called Men in Black. So, we got that parallel to going for us too. But outside of that, that's about all I got to say.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, Jeff. Same question, sir. Your thoughts on that section there leading up to Quint talking with Wyndham and his crew about, helping them to get the car back and them saying they need to get the police.
Yes, sir. Going third again this round. Most definitely. Yes. I mean, in all honesty, to sort of, belie Tim and what Tim was saying a minute ago. I mean, I watched the movie and watched this part of the movie. I didn't see all this stuff. I didn't grasp everything that you were reading about the movie or whatever. I didn't know what was happening at times. All I knew was that like all of a sudden, Linda Hamilton's in the movie, and I don't know. Some asshole dude tries to fucking flirt with her or whatever, and she shuts him down, and it's like, okay, whatever. And, I think Tommy Lee Jones' character kind of bumps into her or whatever. I don't know. And all of a sudden she's, fucking, stealing the car, like, works at this whatever sort of nefarious company operation or whatever, that she works at, where she, goes and drives the golf cart, everything, before she steals the car. Again, the car is terrible, I don't care. $3 million budget, whatever. That car is god awful. It does not look futuristic. And I mean, like the car chase was just whatever. I mean, there was nothing interesting or cool about that car. Like it didn't go fast or, I mean, the car chase was whatever, man. Like Andre said, they could have, maybe added some more action, had some more guns and more gunshots and shooting at people and stuff like that, maybe would have helped the film a little bit. I mean, yeah, that car chase scene was benign, man. It was whatever. I'm not sure. I guess, Linda Hamilton's character was sort of like, a secret agent or something at that company, she was like double crossing them in the movie, stealing that car, right? The prototype or whatever. I mean, this movie does not have a lot of very good dialogue. Nothing against John Carpenter. I know he's done a lot of good stuff, but I don't feel like there's a lot of great writing going on in this movie. Where I mean, a lot of these scenes, in this part of the movie are sort of there's just not a lot of great, character dialogue occurring during the movie where you're really able to, identify characters, and, find a reason to like them and, and all that, you know what I mean? And, you kind of need that when you watch a movie, right? To some extent. I guess, maybe with certain movies, not all of them, but, unfortunately, this movie, these scenes just don't really have that sort of dialogue going, it's not there. To support the scenes in the film, that element unfortunately is just not working at all in the movie at times. That certainly doesn't help the actors at all. Yeah, I mean, the chase scene was very limited. They didn't really do a lot with it. The building where she works at, where she's like, driving around or whatever, and then they drive around again later in the movie and all that. It's whatever, it's not it's an okay looking building, but there's nothing futuristic about it really. All that I noticed, and like there's nothing cool about driving around in it. It doesn't look cool. They didn't really have an expansive LA, sort of chase scene that didn't really happen, unfortunately. Tommy Lee Jones' character just kind of gives up, whatever, I'm just not a big fan of Linda Hamilton's character in this movie, as this sort of like, I don't know, double crossing, car stealing, sort of, I don't know, whatever she is in this movie, like criminal or like, whatever she is, I don't know if she's a criminal or what. I can't tell. But she works for this nefarious company in the beginning, right? So that's not good for her character, right? So obviously that means that, there's something, she's not a hero or anything like that. She's got some dark stuff going on. So that's it, Cyber.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. All right. So, moving on. Basically for me, that section, it like I said, kind of introduces you to more of the characters, give a little more insight into what they're about after the stealing of the Black Moon. And we get to see more of Linda Hamilton and what she's up to. And we see Robert Vaughn and the others and stuff like that quite a bit there. And then we see, some Quint tailing people and stuff like that, which is interesting. So I think that's really fun. All right. So after getting the blueprints for the tower from City Hall, Quint begins staking them out. The Ryland Towers are a pair of office buildings built by Ed Ryland, who is also the head of the Stolen Car Syndicate. The basement of the towers is a large chop shop, and Ryland keeps the best cars for himself and sells the rest. He scolds Nina for stealing a car he does not want and cannot possibly resell, but he will not allow her to keep it either. After seeing Nina leave the towers, Quint follows her to a nightclub. At the club, they meet and go to her apartment. They have sex. Then he asks her to help him get the car back, to which she does not respond. Later, Wyndham and his team go to the towers to look for evidence to give the police. Ryland's goons kill one of the team members, so they go back to Quint and offer their assistance. Meanwhile, Ringer has tracked down Quint, and he and his men attack him, demanding the return of the disc. Quint kills two of the henchmen, but Ringer gets away. The next day, Nina is summoned by Ryland, who confronts her with a tape of Quint outside the garage and a tape of them having sex. Deeming her a traitor, he locks her in the closet. Meanwhile, Quint and Wyndham determine that since the chop shop entrance is impenetrable from the garage, the best way to get in through the unsecured second tower. While Wyndham destroys the security cameras, Quint climbs the empty tower, crosses to the other one, and heads down. While descending a ventilation shaft, he discovers Nina in the locked closet and frees her. She then agrees to help Quint steal the Black Moon. After knocking out a guard and stealing his uniform, Quint and Nina enter the chop shop and take the Black Moon. Ryland has since learned that Nina is no longer locked up and sees her in the garage. Wyndham is on the other side of the garage door and blows a hole in it with C4. But emergency bars drop down to cover the hole in the door, stopping Quint and Nina from escaping. And we'll stop there. There's quite a bit here. I feel that this section seemed very much like it ran all together. I don't feel like it was really separated like the other two sections. Like this scene was just pretty much from get-go to get-go. It went across, and I don't think it really segued itself as well, as like the other kind of little sections have. It's more of like, oh, this happened, and it keeps on going. So what are you guys' thoughts on this section? From getting the blueprints leading up to them stealing the Black Moon and trying to get out. And of course we have, the titillating, we have the sex scene in it. We have the and we definitely could tell that they do it twice in that section too as well, which was kind of funny how they leave it like that. And I think that seeing a shirtless Tommy Lee Jones was quite funny too, because I mean I was like thinking of something like, wow, he actually was a pretty good shape at this time. And if I'm correct, like he was like probably in his early 40s, I believe he was here. And I think that I never knew how like in shape he was, so I think that was kind of interesting. So anyways, what are you guys' thoughts on that section? Anything you guys liked or hated, and just your overall thoughts? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, again, look, Cyber, I mean, the stuff you're reading about the movie, like, it just isn't conveyed in the film at all, really, like, you don't really, you're watching it and, yeah, they get the blueprints or whatever. And, I mean, you sort of grasp what they're doing, like what the goal kind of is, but I mean, they make such a big deal out of like this basic fucking simple heist they have to do to get in this building and take this car. It's not even that big of a fucking deal, bro. Like seriously. Like, I mean, when it comes to like, movies that have things like heists going on or, secret agent stuff going on like that, where there's planning of the operation and the heist and blueprints and gadgets and all that kind of stuff. This is just not, that theme in this movie is not well done, I mean, so like, it just doesn't, I mean, there again, this, Tommy Lee Jones, may not be at fault, with this movie, I mean, there could be other, elements at play, that affected his performance with the character, but I mean, I just really did not, know about or really connect with or think highly of any of the supporting actors or characters in the film, really, like the crew or whatever, that helps with the blueprints and everything and the heist or whatever, like they're okay, but like I don't know, I mean, there's just nothing great about them, or really all that interesting about them, I mean, they stand around with the blueprints and talk about this job and whatever, and whatever. They're making it out to be like this heist is this big fucking deal, bro. In the movie, they're like, oh my God, you're fucking crazy, bro. You're going to do this job, and then the guy goes and does it. And it's like, no big fucking deal, So, I mean, I don't know, bro. Like the, like the bad guys in the movie, the nefarious company, organization, or whatever, right? That like designed the car, the prototype or whatever, does not really come off all that evil or like bad in the movie at times, like you have no reason to really dislike them, or the head guy or whatever, like I mean, they're just okay people, like, they're not out there doing horrible shit, during the movie or torturing people or, whatever. They don't seem like that bad of people, as far as like bad guys in the movie go, I mean, honestly, the government agent guys that Tommy Lee's character has to fucking deal with or report to or whatever in the movie are actually almost as intimidating or bad or whatever as the fucking bad guys in the movie, honestly. Yeah, I mean, again, there's no sci-fi shit going on at all in the movie at all, in these scenes at all. There's nothing sci-fi happening, like, There's nothing sci-fi about the buildings in the movie or the sinister company work at or whatever, like it's just they're just buildings. The sex scenes are terrible in this movie. It's 1980s. Where's the fucking nudity and like actual attempt at having sex that's like real? Like this was pathetic. Like it just shows them like before sex all like happy with each other, and then they're in bed naked and they're like after sex laying there talking or whatever. I mean, come on, bro. Come on now. Where's the good stuff? I was a little bit let down for a 1986 movie to have such weak fucking Skinamax fucking style goddamn sex scenes in the movie, bro. Come on now. But you know what though? I'm not surprised or shocked at all that Linda Hamilton would not do the nudity in this movie. She has never come off to me like the type of actress that's down for that kind of action when it comes to her acting. So I was not shocked that there was no nudity in the goddamn sex scenes. But they had them, bro. They had to make sure they had them. They had to have those 80s sex scenes in the movie. There was just no goddamn decent action in them. Honestly. In that department, in that area, I don't blame Tommy Lee at all because it's not on him. His role in that area is very small. So honestly, I blame the director and sadly, unfortunately, Linda Hamilton a little bit too. For not going all out for that shit. Come on, baby. Let's be honest, Cyber. We all know that nudity would have probably helped this movie. Honestly, it would not have hurt the movie to have nudity. So all I can honestly say is I'm just a little bit let down overall with the sex scenes in this movie. I mean, come on. For a 1980s movie, you do expect more and better, in all honesty. It's not like Linda Hamilton was some sort of megastar in 1986, or something like that, and she was like above nudity or something. Fuck that. That she was not a star. So I'm sorry. The Terminator was not that popular or that great of a film. So, anyways, I mean, that's pretty much all I got, Cyber. I also want to mention that the fighting and action scenes in the movie, the hand-to-hand fighting that they have during the movie and stuff like that, too, is not all that great either. That doesn't help the movie at all. It's just kind of whatever. The little bit of action that we do get is not all that great. And in all honesty, by the 1980s, you can pull off some pretty solid action in the movie. Hey, again, I understand $3 million is $3 million for a budget, but hey, it's 1986 $3 million. So that's it, Cyber.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, going over to you, Andres. What are your thoughts, sir, on this section?
Yes, I will give a more in-depth analysis of the section we have. Besides the love scene that we get here, I mean, you could give it a 2 out of 10. I mean, it was so much like the first Terminator scene in that iconic cheesy like melody, like like it was so over the top. I was surprised that we had that. I was like, but yeah, going from you, Cyber, I was like, man, Tommy Jones was so good at his age, 86. Like he looked pretty good in shape. I was like, whoa, oh man, yeah. So this section, like, I mean, it's that kind of typical heist scene. Like you just see him prepping like the like the infiltration of these two buildings, and it's like, oh good, but you don't get the classic, like, okay, like how he's gonna set it up and all that, like it's a very like what's the word, mundane heist, like infiltration of this building. Like it's like, okay, here's the blueprints of the building and all that. Him going to the scientist was kind of surprising. But anyway, uh, one of their assistants, I didn't notice this, but his one of their assistants doesn't talk. He's mute, and that took me a while until we got to his death sequence when they were out there, and like I was just laughing really hard. I don't know if you guys were laughing this hard, but like I was like, wait a minute. They had like a deaf character, and you see, like they did a very like I didn't see them using the proper like sign, like the sign language you usually do for these, um the deaf characters, and and like the ls, yeah, the ALS sign language that you usually see in movies. And this was a poor job. Like he's like he does this like here, like pointing at, like you cannot see it, but I'm like using my fingers, like, oh, you see this camera, get the camera rolls right. And I'm like, oh my god, I just can't believe we did that. And oh my god, his death was so like over the top. Like it reminded me of a deleted scene from this movie from the 80s, Macking Me. You haven't seen the deleted scene where the kid, like in the wheelchair, like rolls down to the street of this like store, and then it gets like got cut in the fire with the aliens, and it's like, oh my god, like it's just like that, like over the top death. Like at first he rolls, like gets run over by the Robert Vaughn's hitchman, like his right hand guy, and then all of a sudden this truck, whatever, like comes out of nowhere and just just shove him like a snow, like in winter. And I was like, what? You're going to extreme. And then his friend, the other scientist, like, running and screaming, and like, wow. I was just shocked that we did that, killing a deaf character way like that. It was so over the top. I was really sad because the guy was nice. I mean, come on. Yeah. Then of course, Quint falling. You know, Nia was not surprised, like all casual, and like you know no effort. But anyway, how you got the blueprints for the city hall is kind of funny. Like it's that easy to access blueprints for like these pre-existing buildings. I was kind of shocked about that. So like this section is okay, just typical, setup. And then the next section where like this one is like, okay, the typical, like everything is going to plan. So the next day, how you say, yeah, Nia getting captured by the boss, because the tape, uh somehow they have cameras in their house, which is kind of crazy. And it just reminded me of another movie. I don't know if you guys seen the sequel to The Fly 2, where the bad guy in that had tape for the son of Jeff Goldblum's character, and like he had all cameras around him to watch over him. It was literally like that for me. I was like, whoa, okay, like you're watching this chick. Like and also I don't understand this relationship. Like he's just using her to like do his bidding to like get these cars. It's like, or he likes her, or like what's the deal with him with this character. Like it has to be more in depth about that, and like more detail. And something I want to bring up was the screenplay, because Jeff brought up before with John Carpenter. Yes, John Carpenter wrote the story, but it was handled by other people. This been rewritten. So because usually John Carpenter movie, a lot of the dialogue and like his story structure is so good in films like The Thing, Escape from New York, or Big Trouble in Little China. Like his films are always top notch in terms of storytelling. And this one, because this is not John Carpenter's film, it's handled by other people that's like kind of butcher what could have been a good, solid, action thriller film, like Escape from New York, or Assault on the 13th Precinct, if I remember correctly. I it's been a while. I remember that movie, but like the writers.
Assault on Precinct 13, Andres.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Because we have these other people that took over the project, just kind of butcher John Carpenter's story, and like it's such a you know, like very lackluster film, and that's why what we get with this film, especially like the plot. As I brought before, it's very so over complicated for no reason. Um, and then uh, yeah, and then meanwhile, Quint and Widom determine, yeah, them figuring out the shop entrance is impenetrable. That makes sense. Uh, by the way, this I was this whole like building is so impenetrable. Like a lot of cameras, alarms. Like how much did Robert Vaughn's character spend so much to guard his tower? Like it's just cars. Like it's not like Fort Knox or like he's stealing money. I don't know. Like it's so over the top. Like just guarding his stealing cars for no reason. I found that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Andres, those aren't cheap cars. I mean, even in the 80s, a Lamborghini Countach was like $100,000. So they're expensive
that's
cars.
True. Okay, that's true. I don't know. I feel like so that's another thing. Robert Vaughn, he's a great actor. I like him. He's a good actor. I mean, he's a iconic TV actor from The Man from Uncle, as you brought up for Tim. I just wish we had more detail about his character, and I think they should have done something more with the car thing. Like, couldn't you done something more spectacular? You could have set the third act in a car show. Like that could have been awesome. Like he's selling the highest beer of international criminals to the cars. Like it could have been more fancy and a little more 80s. Like he's selling these cars to the yakuza or the Italian mafia. Like it could have been way cooler. And what we got here is just we're just seeing his operation and that's it. It's so mundane. Um, by the way, my dad was a car enthusiast, so sorry about my unlack of car knowledge here. It's just I don't know, just the stuff here is again just like the car we have here, the main car, the whole car stealing stuff is so afterthought, it doesn't feel appropriate for this film, and that's the thing that it's not focusing on the car, it's focusing on too much on the technology and the cassette, and it's no, I don't care about that, um yeah uh the what was it I guess just wrapping up here, it's cool to see the two scientists help Quentin to steal the Black Moon, uh you know uh, uh, you know uh, knocking out the guard, stealing his uniform, right? That's kind of cool. I was very annoyed that picking back the first section, you got Quentin getting attacked by Greener. I was like, oh my god, I was so done with this character. I was like, kill Marvin, please. Tommy Jones, he kills two henchmen. I was like, okay, just Escape from New York. I'm like, why are why is Tommy Jones so stupid? Like, why he allow himself to beat himself up, and then when he get to his car, he gets the hidden gun from the car. It's like, why you just ran quickly to get it out and shoot them right away? Why you allow yourself to beat him up? That was the part that really frustrated me. And I was like, okay, you're really annoying me right now, movie. I was like, oh my god, you could have get the gun right away. Just run off quickly and shoot the two men and then take out Marvin, because I didn't like that, when we get to it, Marvin survived from that shot. I was like, come on. Did you survive that shot? It could easily kill him. And that didn't. So, and I was surprised how invincible Tom Lee Jones' character Quentin was. All of a sudden, he was held back. We didn't see any medication, and it was so weird that Lee Hampton's character didn't took him for a hospital or some secret doctor to help like heal his wounds or something like that. Like that was so weird. Like John Wick, like smartly show us that like he could go get a doctor to like sew him up, or like they show us like he can get like healed by by someone or some doctor, right? And this movie just skipped that, and I was like that really bothered me, and so that just shows how lack of cohesive and in-depth detail that the filmmakers are like really missing in this like story here. And you know um and just the wrapping up my story here, like wrapping up my part here is like them infiltrating the tower was kind of cool. Like it was really neat how the scientists like did the loop thing. That was nice. Them setting up the C4, and then of course Quentin rescuing you know uh the love interest from danger, of course, typical. And you know uh they get the Black Moon and uh car, they try to escape. But of course, I was laughing so hard when they blow up the 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 wall. All of a sudden, the bars drop down to cover the hole. That was hilarious. I was like, wow, they were extremely prepared if anything happens to this operation, or something that will escape from that chop shop. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Pretty okay sections. Funny moments, I have to say, in this film that cracked me up. I was like, what the heck I saw in this film. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, going up to you, Mr. Tim. Your thoughts, sir, on that section?
Okay, yeah. Well, first I gotta say I gotta agree with Jeff. One of the biggest problems with this film is that there is absolutely no character buy-in, not at all, none. You get to the end of this film, you don't give two shits about anybody. So Jeff's spot on with that observation. And then the next thing I gotta say is, we see Quint and we see Nina, that kind of cross paths. They're aware of each other. And I don't know about you boys, but in my entire life, including the 80s, there was no time in my life where I just sauntered out of a bar, walked in front of some woman's car, and she had to stop. And then she's like, yeah, go ahead and get in. And then let's go to my house so you can get on me. It just doesn't happen. Like it
First time.
Yeah. It was such a clumsy way to start a love story. That not only is he kind of playing games and they're having this weird cat and mouse game, and not in a love interest kind of way, but in a like, who are you and why do you keep showing up where I'm at and what you want kind of thing, to them just jumping in the sack with each other. And I think to Jeff's, basic observation there too, where one, it was kind of a bad, 80s love scene. I mean, a lot of that's due to there's just no chemistry between Tommy Lee Jones and Linda Hamilton there whatsoever. I mean, she was kind of actually repulsed by him during this time, kind of detested working with him because he was heavily into alcoholism at this point. And so she did not enjoy working with him. The chemistry was there. And I don't know, Tommy Lee Jones is one of those guys that, I mean, you guys kind of comment about like what good shape he was in. And I guess that's true, but he still got those bags under his eyes. Like, he already looks like an old man. I mean, this is a guy that's lived kind of a rough life. I mean, it's just, when you see it, it's like he is too old for her. He looks like he is far too old to be attracting this young Nina character. So it's just not believable, at all. Although I will say, I do love when they get back to her pad. It's the quintessential 80s, basically studio apartment, loft, whatever, with the motorcycle parked in it. That's such an 80s thing, to have a vehicle parked in your loft apartment or whatever. But it's weird because, she's got the kitchen, the bed's there, but there's some weird upstairs that I don't know what purpose it serves. You see them go up there and stuff, but it's like, yet they're still sleeping downstairs next to the kitchen table. It just, it's such a weird thing. I mean, I guess it's a weird thing for me to pick up on, but I did.
No.
It kind of pulls me out of the movie a little.
No, like Running Scare, the '86 underrated buddy cop film, had the same thing in that movie where was it not Peter Crisco, his partner had like the motorcycle police cop in his apartment there. I was like, why'd you have that there? You know, just to set up that he can drive it later on. Yeah. And it's always typical with TV and movies with studio apartments, and it's like that's not how a studio apartment is. Yes, it's big, but it's like sometimes small, and like in New York or some other areas, it's like I like friends always annoy me with their studio apartment, or like our Smallville, like whatever, like CW shows, like that's not how apartments look like, you know, in cities. And yeah, the geographic of it was so confusing. It's like it's just apartments usually are flat, like that. That's all. Like, you know, across the hall is the bathroom, like whatever is like next to the kitchen or next to the bedroom, whatever. Like that's how it should set up. But just the way that it's set up is so weird. Like it was trying to be too fancy, and I get that they're trying to do the Japanese thing because that was so popular in the '80s because Japan was like getting so big with production stuff, you know, in terms of cars, whatever, blah blah blah. You know, uh, I don't know, like they went a little overboard with the stereo apartment here. So I agree with about you, Tim. And yeah, and something. Sorry.
Andres, what the fuck are you talking about, Andres? The Japanese don't have anything to do with large studio apartments or something like that. The way
No.
they build everything small in their culture.
No, but he's right. The Japanese thing was huge in the '80s, though. Like they were buying up huge swaths of American culture and things like that. And you know, there was a lot of buying. I mean, you know, that's when the ninja movies became prominent and things like that, and people were way into Japanese culture and things like that too. So it shows up in a lot of '80s films. So I think Andres is actually on point with some of that observation.
Yeah, Black Rain is one of them as well. Like towards the end of the '80s, like that. And just I'm sorry, Tim. Just wrapping up. Like, yeah, I kind of agree with Tom Lee Jones. Like, he's not like I consider him as a character actor, not a leading man. I think it's kind of weird to see him like showing off his body and all that. Like, I don't think he's that type of person. I think he works better as a cowboy or like the more gruff kind of characters that we usually see. This character fits him, but I think there's some choices they did with his character that doesn't make sense, and like it should not done. You know?
Like a clumsy love story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, for sure. Well, and not only that, but going back to the apartment too with that motorcycle, you think this is going to have some kind of prominent, you know, purpose within the movie, and it doesn't. Other than they have the little joke later on where she puts a note next to him and says, "Please don't steal the bike." I mean, that's it. Like it serves no purpose other than to just look cool. So I don't know. It's really weird, but quintessential '80s, you know, trope stuff that's in there. And then we move on to the next big '80s thing where you guys kind of touch base on that, where the three guys go back and try to recover their car, and the deaf guy, quote unquote, dies in the most, you know, stupid way possible by being run over because he can't hear the car, and it shoots him like 10 feet into the air. So he has like the dumbest death possible, you know, which solidifies their resolve to now team up with Quint so that they can go in. And then what do? You know, they kind of meet up with him. They agree that they're going to do this job. Then we get Quint. He goes off to get the blueprints from his shady construction guy who kind of worked on this complex a little bit. And he's been killed, you know, by Ringer and his buddies. And now we get basically we get a worse version of the alley fight from John Carpenter's They Live, which will come up in 2 years later. This is a staple in this thing, the big drawn out fight. And they tool them up pretty good, but it's not as well done because I think they just use mostly just one camera instead of like doing close-up shots and doing a lot of quick cuts and things like that. So although I did enjoy the fight, I thought it was probably the best scene in the whole film as far as action goes. There are some really clumsy kicks and punches and stuff that goes on in there, but they tool him up pretty good, you know, in a very 80s-esque kind of fashion, and he manages to get under his car, shoots the two of them. You know, now we get Ringer gets away because he seems to only be able to shoot 2 out of 3 people, you know, well, and then he loses his ability and it turns into a stormtrooper. But then he comes back with these plans so he can get with the guys, you know, the owners of the car, and plan their big Ocean's 11 escaper, with basically blueprints that look like they've been drawn by somebody who's playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's just the saddest looking blueprints I've ever seen.
Yeah, amateur work.
Yeah, and they're just like pointing their finger along this little tunnel and pointing out like this is where you're going to do this stuff, but there's really nothing there other than a tunnel under the building. And he's like, I'm going to go over the building from here to here, kind of thing. And we see him kind of do his super cool stuff. Well, at first we got to, of course, have the moment where we all get together with our watches and we're like set sync, and everything's got to be timed perfect. And they got their cool blue lasers, which I still have yet to see him. I have a cool blue laser that, you know, takes out the cameras intermittently as he makes his way up this building where he's going to do a crossover with basically like a ninja rope and, grappling hook. Even though he's just had the ever-living shit kicked out of him, and it should be in no way, shape, or form in any ability to be able to go across these two buildings to get to the other one. Which cracked me up too. And then you have the other two guys that are going down the manhole to basically tap into the feed. And I think they got like duct tape, a roll of telephone wire, and I don't know what else, an X-Acto knife with them to do this. And then they carefully slice open the little wires and they tap it with their little alligator clips. And then they're like, okay, we're going to watch it. Okay, this should be good. That's a feed. And you watch the camera. It doesn't even do a full cycle. They're like, that's good. We should be able to go back and forth. I'm like,
yes.
Anybody who watches that is going to know that that's not a complete loop, you know? So it's real hokey when they do that. And we managed to see the ever gripping, basically him tight roping his way across, kind of pulling himself over to the other building as the grappling hook little by little lets itself go, even though there should have been enough tension that grappling hook shouldn't be doing hops like that, and then makes it into the other building. He gets down, realizes that, the ever so evil Ryland has, found out that Nina and him are having sex because somehow he's managed to hide a giant camera in her apartment to spy on her. Because you got to remember, this is the 80s. Cameras are huge. We're talking closed circuit TV, so they're not easy to hide. And makes her watch herself have sex with this guy that she just claimed she didn't know. That she really wasn't lying when she's like, I don't really know him. She doesn't. She just picked him up when he walked in front of her car a couple minutes ago. So she wasn't exactly lying. Then locks her in not only the best stocked office supply room I've ever seen for a building that has no occupancy, but the most secure office supply. That guy's never going to lose a paperclip, let alone a folder or anything else. And then he manages to break her out of that. They get down, they steal the car, and then they got absolutely nowhere to go with it, because not only do they, once they blow that wall away, the cool portcullis comes down like it's a castle and blocks them in. He's like, we got them trapped. So, it's just, I don't know. It's weird, the cookie cutter. It's poorly executed, but it's done so badly. It's entertaining. When you get to the end of it, it's like, oh no, what will they do now? Let's drive into this elevator. Oh, look, we're caught. Oh, well, that's going to take us to the final scene now. So it's just, I guess it gets us again to where we need to go, but poorly executed. And again, as Jeff pointed out, no chemistry between the characters and no buy-in. So you're getting to the end. And you're like, still don't give a shit about anybody in this film. But yeah, let's see where this goes. We've gone this far. Let's finish it off.
This is how Fast and Furious could be if they didn't have the money.
right.
Like, that's how I felt during this finale part. Oh God.
Yeah, if it had been a cool sci-fi car, there would have been some rockets or cool stuff on it. They could have shot themselves out, like, or they could have done something really awesome. But nope, none of that stuff. Like, I feel like if they'd have hit anything with that car, it would have just crumpled like a tin can.
Or James Bond, like it could have been the Tomorrow Never Dies, like car, parking scene. Like they could have done that. That could have been cool, but no, we didn't get that guy.
Or even if it would have had that cool like Mach 5 effect, from Speed Racer, where it manages to like catapult itself up off the ground and like, basically jump cars or something. Yeah, that'd be kind of neat too. But they had no imagination. I almost want to think when they got this car, the guy's like, look, you can use it in the movie. It's the only one on the entire planet, so don't screw it up. Like, these guys were terrified to do anything with this car because I think they were like, man, if we dent this thing, we're screwed,
Yeah. Yeah, I wish they have a kid and a monkey. That could have made the movie a 10 out of 10.
or even a semi in a monkey like BJ and the Bear. Anything could have made just a monkey overall anywhere in this movie would have made it better.
Yeah.
I think we've stunned Cyber. He's got nothing left to say. I see him just behind his mic.
Yeah, he's shot. Yeah, he's speechless. This is our Oscar nomination.
Monkey, where's Monkey in this script?
Polar bears. We need polar bears.
There we go, polar bears.
All right. Excellent job, guys. Excellent job. Anywho, yeah. So I mean, for me, this section I thought was, pretty interesting. I mean, I think a lot goes down. I have to admit that scene where Tommy Lee Jones is going across the buildings with that contraption, his little rope tight, roping thing scene, I thought was pretty cool. Making you think like he's like a mountaineer type of deal. I did think that was kind of, that was futuristic in a sense that, it's not futuristic, but I thought that was kind of interesting. They decided to put that in there. I think it was a little nod to the, the future. We're going to have cliffhanger or something. But I think that scene, I think, was kind of entertaining. But just kind of how everyone's kind of gone off on, all the different stuff in this film. It definitely does not hold up to what it should have been about. And it definitely is very lackluster. So it's too bad because I think there was a lot of potential that could have made this a really great 80s film. All right. So coming to the conclusion of the film, Quint drives the Black Moon into the freight elevator, which takes them to Ryland's office. During the chase on that floor, Nina activates the turbo boost that makes the car reach its top speed. The car then shoots towards a window, hitting and killing Ryland instantly. The car then goes through the window and flies into the unoccupied building. Just as they think they are safe, Quint gets the disc out from the bumper and Rieger shows up to retrieve it. He and Quint start fighting just as Johnson shows up. After a brutal fistfight, Quint knocks out Rieger and takes back the disc and gives it to Johnson, allowing himself to retire. Wyndham then shows up and is grateful his car is still in one piece, but wonders how they will get it down. The movie ends back at Nina's apartment where Quint asks her if she is happy she stole the Black Moon. After she says yes, he says that he is too. And the end. So what are you guys' thoughts on this conclusion of the film? And I'll start with you, Jeff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Cyber, again, look, man, hey, I mean, I'm never out there just trying to beat up on movies and during a movie review or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, I got to call it how I see it. And, look, man, hey, the fucking car jumped from building to building in the air, I mean, the Linda Hamilton pushed the turbo boost. I didn't see no turbo boost, bro. You know what I'm saying? I guess, I don't know, bro. I must have missed that. I did not see it. I mean, I don't know, man. That scene did not look very good, bro. That jumping of the car in the air deal. And then I couldn't even figure out what the fuck was going on. After he jumped the car, he still had to fight some other motherfucker, some other dude. Still, again, after that, to fucking get away or whatever, So I didn't know what was going on with that. I was like, what the fuck, bro? He got the car, I think. So whatever. He got the car, and I mean, him just driving around that fucking parking garage or whatever, in the building, for 10 minutes straight in the movie was fucking boring, bro. Okay, he's driving the stupid car all around this fucking building, Okay, great. It's fucking stupid, bro. I mean, that final love scene, sex scene, I wouldn't even call it a sex scene. It doesn't even deserve to be called a sex scene at the end of the movie, between the two leads. is pathetic, bro. Again, it's like totally soft core. You know, there's no faking of sex occurring or anything like that. You know, it's just like them in bed naked again. You know, like talking all nice to each other. Come on, bro. Where's the action? Yeah, they had no chemistry, like Tim said, none. You know, I mean, I'm not sure in a romantic sort of pairing in a movie. I'm not really sure what actor would have chemistry with Linda Hamilton, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know, but definitely they don't have any chemistry in the movie. I'm okay with Tommy Lee's age in the movie with her. That doesn't bother me. But they just don't have any chemistry, you know? So their love scenes, sex scenes are not good. They're bad. You know, they don't help the film at all. They don't even make any sense. You know, like it's like why are they even together? Like what happened in the movie like to where they're together now and like having sex or whatever? What happened? I didn't see anything happen. I don't know, bro. That's pretty much it, Cyber. You know, I mean, I'm never gonna watch this again. And you know, I mean, again, how they managed to pull off adding the word sci-fi to the description of this movie, I do not understand because there's no sci-fi in the movie. Except for that, right in the absolute beginning, digital computer generated script that they have in the beginning. That you know, that's the only sci-fi element there. Cyber. That's it.
All right, thank you, sir. Going over to you, Mr. Tim. What are your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion?
Well, I think by the time they hit that elevator, you pretty much, the writing's on the wall. You know what's about to happen. Because, I mean, what are you going to do? You're in a car, you're going up the elevator. They really work on the emotional stress of that scene, you know, as to like, oh, no, what's going to happen? I tell you what's going to happen. They're going to open that door, and they're going to come flying out of there like a bat out of hell and run everybody over that they can. You know, although I do love, again, that, you know, the security guards seem to be armed with the ever accessible 80s Uzis. You know, that's always a fan favorite in any 80s film. But yeah, they come, you know, flying out of there. They drive around those cars. And I don't know who they had driving that because I'm pretty sure they're like, look, dude, you can drive this car around here, but there's a lot of expensive cars. Don't hurt this car or any of the other ones. So I bet that guy's going like 10 miles per hour when they're filming this and they sped it up. And you can really tell because when they finally get to, you know, going after Ryland, it's every 80s movie you've ever seen where it's like the quick, you know, shot of the car coming and then him basically like face planting into the windows and you know he's been hit and then the bad guy's dead. You never see him again. And then you know where they're going. Like, what are they going to do? Yeah, they're going to go out the window. It's so damn obvious that that's what's going to happen. And that's the money shot, which is obviously done with, you know, a couple of basically HO scale buildings and a little, you know, toy car that they created to go out that window. But then the most amazing part is not that they make it because we know they're going to do it because it's a turbo car. And apparently they have plenty of runway in which to, you know, get up enough speed to make it to this other tower. But then they land on a floor that, lo and behold, Ringer somehow knows, like, look, I think they're going to be on this floor. When they come down, they're going to end up here. So this is where we're going to get them. I mean, what is it, like 30? What do you think, 30, 40 floors in this building? And he manages to figure out the exact floor that they're going to land the car in. So when they stop the car, him and his goons are waiting for round two, you know, again, which is an even worse fight scene than we get when he's trying to steal the blueprints. I mean, it's like trying to watch two 5-year-olds act like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just taking swats at each other. It's hilarious and sad all at the same time. And then, you know, while this is going on, Linda's like, give me the gun. And Bubba's like, no, he's got that look like he must do this to, you know, basically prove the man that he is or whatever. I don't know. There was, for some reason, Quint had to finish this fight, or I don't know, he was going to lose face, God knows what, but, you know, or maybe Bubba just likes watching him get his ass beat. I don't know which, but, you know, and in the end, it all works out because, you know, Bubba gets his tape, those guys get the car, and, you know, Tommy gets the girl, and they get to go back and not have sex because he's so beat up like he should have been when he's trying to cross, you know, to the other building that he can't even, like, basically, hold Nina, let alone make love to her. So yeah, it's just it's a completely transparent ending. Everything that's going to happen, it transpires just like you think, and it's done with every bit of 80s cheesiness that you would expect. So, I guess job well done on that behalf, that it fits the 80s mold perfectly. And I have to agree with Jeff. This is going to be my first and probably last viewing, because I don't think I would ever want to sit through this again. And if I had to watch this twice, I probably said that the first time around, and you guys suckered me into watching it twice. So, good for you. It only took me 40 years? What is it? 89? Yeah, like 40 years to get here. So, but that's it. 2 times. I'm never watching it again.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, Andres, wrap us out, sir. What is your final thoughts on the conclusion, sir?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This ending was a doozy. I mean, I miss what Tiff say. I think it was the sign that, like, I don't want to hear this finale ever again, because this ending was so lackluster. I was like, what the hell I was seeing here? It was the poor version of Fury Seven's 3 tower thing that they did in the Dubai. I was like, oh my god, this movie is influential of that iconic 7 installment of the Fast and the Furious. I was like, what the hell? Like, I saw the car jumping to another tower. I was like, what? Fast and Furious saw this movie? Oh my god. I was like, whoa, it was just crazy, and it was so funny to see that well, first off, it was just funny in concept that they were totally fine that they were going up to the elevator to whatever the bad guy wanted them to go to be surrender. I was like, what the hell? Okay, we're captured. Like, let's wait. Do like just waiting to ride. Like, no plan, no nothing. I was like, what? What? Like you should just get out from the car and maybe put some explosion or something like that. I don't know, to to blow up the bad guys. Why you want to stay in the car and drive around? By the way, it was so convenient, that area of space. They were able to move around in that space. I mean, there were cars there too. But like, how convenient! It was like, oh, perfectly shaped room for like this, movie car to move around, to have some action scene. It was so funny. And by the way, the death of Robert Vaughn was hilarious. I don't know if you guys were laughing at it. They did the Mad Max 2, or yeah, Mad Max 2, where like they
Oh,
sped
it
up
is Mad Max. You're right. It is Mad Max.
yeah, like they sped up the footage, and like it was so convenient how he died. Like, I mean, he died like the deaf guy, but like it was so funnier because they sped up the footage. Like, like jumping like you just, I don't think
Oh,
so.
shit, you nailed it, Andres. You nailed it. Yeah, I was like, Toe
Yeah.
Cutter got him.
Yeah, exactly. They totally got them. And then I love, before they did the shootout, like, it was like, do you have any ideas? I was like, got a few, and like gave her the gun, and then all of a sudden she goes out top, killed the right hand man, and killed a bunch of those guys. I was like, and then he just ran through the guy. I was like, oh my god, that cracked me up in my head. I was like, what the hell I was eating? Mad Max beats Fast and Furious. I was like, oh my god. And then they went through the second tower. See, it could have been funnier if it was the third. They had like a secretly third tower behind that like building. It was like, it could have been more funnier than just having a second one, but nope, we didn't get that. So they land conveniently, in that spot, and then this killed me. Like, I was like, what the hell? Marvin, this annoying prick, pardon my French, like, conveniently was there to wait for our main heroes to like land and get the cassette. I was like, what the hell? you know? And I was just laughing. I was like, oh my god. And I was hoping they kill up the guys, but no, they beat them up. And we get this like typical like um yeah, as Tim said before, like, just like we had another fist fight between these two characters, and it was not good. It was like, oh my god, like so cheap. It's nothing like. Well, the thing about They Live, I wanted to bring up because you brought it up, Tim. Like you got who is it? Ruddy
Roddy
Piper.
Piper.
Yeah, like he's like I forgot his was he was like a former fighter, right?
He
Like
was a wrestler, yeah.
wrestler, yeah. So like he knew how to choreograph himself with the fight scene that was in They Live, and like that's why he was so good. And also John Carpenter is a great director. He knows how to like do the close ups, do white scenes. Like it felt cinematic, like it felt awesome. And this just like it felt like a TV movie fight. Like something from CW or like something from like a Hallmark movie or something like that. Oh my god, when we get into that love scene again, it felt like a Hallmark movie, but it was rated R. I was like, oh yeah, we're going dark, and or we're getting sexy here. I was like, okay, whatever. 50 Shades of Cars, sci-fi cars. That'd be kind of awesome. But anyway, uh, I yeah. So like it was so like hand fistedly. Okay, I'm retiring. Like like first off, I didn't get a sense that he wanted to like retire. Like I thought he was hired and that's it. Like all of a sudden, like he wanted to get out of this business. I was like, oh, okay, fine. You want to get that huge pension and money that the government could give you if you continue on with them, Like, you ever thought about that? Like, you could have got huge sums of money and
Well,
maybe
yeah.
benefits.
And did you see
Sorry.
that stack of money he handed them? Unless those are like $1 million bills, that ain't gonna go very far. I mean, even if those are $1,000 bills, there wasn't that much there. It was very little amount of cash.
Yeah. By the way, that cracked me out. Like, he gave him just like a bunch of stacked money, like that amount. I was like, wait a minute. Like, you should like get a case full of money. Like after what you did the whole movie, like I was like, what the hell? And like, what's your passport? Like you asked about that too, and like a new identity. Like like, we need to get all that. Like I was like, wow. And yeah, just wrap me up. Like yeah, we got this corny like love scene. Like like the heroes like beating up. It's like, oh, I hurt myself. Like, oh, I cannot do this love scene. Oh, I was like, oh god, don't do that. I don't want that. If you're gonna do it, do it. Don't make this like a corny scene. And it was so corny. And yeah, I kind of agree with you guys. Like they don't have chemistry. Like the age gap. That was something Tim you brought it up. That like yeah, like yeah, like like that. It's like you could do like they should have put him with someone else. Like I don't know. Like I think Meryl Streep should have been in this movie. Like I don't know. Like
Meryl
she was,
Streep?
yeah,
Wow.
Meryl Streep. Yeah, like could have made this movie better. Like I just like I don't think Linda was right for this role with Tom Lee. But if you put someone that was older than Tommy Jones, like I think that could have worked with terms of the romance. But it's not a romance movie. I'm like. I don't know, like it's just like this whole relationship is so clunky and so rush as you were saying for Tim, and it's like unbelievable. Really, it's like oh my god. So yeah, Meryl Streep or I don't know who's that big. I mean, you know what? Cheer, like give me Cheer. I'll take her more as a badass than Linda Hinton. I'm sorry, like get me Moonstruck. Actress here, Kennedy Moore actress. Jesus Christ. Uh, and so, yeah, after this, I agree with everyone. This is gonna be my last viewing. Mostly, I want to keep my memory of just three things. Just Mad Max, fessed up footage, Meryl Streep / Sheer, casting that should have been for this film, and yeah, polar bears. They should have more polar bears like in this film. So yeah, like give me polar bears. Like just have a conspiracy plot. Of, like oh yeah, like we got polar bears in the island and like all that.
Dude, Andres, polar bears are not that cool, bro.
Well,
Yes.
if you want to know what Andres is talking about, you got to go over to our
channel.
I know, but I mean, it's not. I mean, polar bears aren't that cool, bro. They're not.
No. No, you have to check the Thin Red Line pod that's coming out soon. You understand the joke. I don't.
It actually will drop this Saturday. So if you want to know what the hell Andres is talking about, go and check that out when we drop the Thin Red Line, and you'll understand.
Yeah, because I mistakenly say something that was supposed to be in the film, but I referenced a lost connection, that TV show from like back in the day. It's a crazy loop. Anyway, this movie is driving me crazy. It's driving me madness. I need to go to an institution to like check myself out. And this movie just kind of burned my brains. But it was a durable experience. I enjoy it. I have fun memories now, so I'm gonna keep that for just the one time.
Well, let me kick it up a notch for you, Andres, because you've inspired me. You talked about there being 3 buildings. Here's what I think they should have had. They should have had 4 buildings, quad buildings. And what they should have done is they should have just taken that car and kept jumping floor to floor on each building, just having bad guys piling up on the hood of the car as they work their way down. They get to the bottom floor. They come whipping out. They do one of those quick 80s turns while they kick gravel all over Bubba Smith and his guys. And then all the bad guys come piling off of their car into a pile in front of him. He pops out of the car like fucking the Bandit from Smokey the Bandit, whips that fucking cassette tape in his head. It's like, there you go, bitch, I'm done. Flicks off the guys who want the car, and him and the Nina take off like Burt Reynolds and Sally Fields, like they're the Bandit. They just head off into the sunset in this car. That's how they should have ended the film. That would have been fucking classic.
Yes, I agreed. Oh, guys, Jeff, we just lost Jeff. Yeah, no, it's not gonna work for him. Quick question: was this a rated R movie? Like, we had like that's the other thing. That's like, I just want to end this. Like, one of the most tamest rated R films I ever seen in my life. Like, the 80s were hardcore, and like this was the most tamest things I ever saw. So, Tim, I like your idea. You should become a producer because they failed miserably in this film. So that's all I'm
fix
saying.
All these 80s movies with AI. You watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be Black Moon Rising, the AI cut.
Yeah, like we cut out the hardcore stuff and the Mad Max Aspire action scenes.
Although I'm not sure Jeff is going to line up to see it once I'm done.
Yeah.
He did not seem amused with my ending.
Oh, dear. I like your idea. No worries, sir. I give it a 10 out of 10.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Yeah, so my thoughts on the conclusion, I mean, like everyone's kind of said, yes, this was a kind of a very boring film. But still, I think it had some kind of entertainment value to it. So I don't think it was god awful, but at the same time, being the first viewing of it, it still was, fun to have said, I have seen this film. So I have to at least give it that. And I think that, getting to see Robert Vaughn, Bubba Smith, all those characters, it was great to see them. So yeah, a decent, ending. I feel that, kind of left you kind of like, okay. All right, if that's what you say. All right, so going around the table, what rating will we give the film? Starting with you, Tim.
What are we out of? Out of 5? Out of 10? What are we talking?
Always out of 10.
Out of 10. I'm going to probably give this maybe a 3 out of 10.
Cool. Andres?
Yeah, I'll be generous. I'll give this a 5 out of 10. It was okay. I just give it higher because I think our ideas and our discussion made the movie better than the movie itself. So that's all I have to say.
Excellent. Jeff, what would you give it?
I'll give it a 2.5, sir.
Okay. And I'll be generous. I'll give it a 5 as well. Just because I like Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
And I like a few of the other actors in it. So I think I have to give it a 5 out of 10. All right, so that is Black Moon Rising. If you did not catch it live, definitely check this almost 2.5 hour episode. Later on, that's from 1986, Black Moon Rising. Not a sci-fi film, even though it's called a sci-fi film. And very interesting watch. And it's funny that this movie even got made. So. Thank you for everyone on the panel tonight. You all were fantastic. Great answers, great talking points. And I'll shove it over to Mr. Jeff to take us on out.
All right. Thank you, Cyber. And Tim, sir, you are first. So go ahead and do your plugs.
All right. Well, you can find me at the Middle Age Movies Podcast, or Man Reviews Podcast for short, where myself and two of my podcasting partners, Matt and Rick, discuss movies from the book of 1,001 movies you should watch before you die. We're on YouTube, Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. So if you enjoyed this review, Black Moon Rising, and you're looking for a little more 80s car awesomeness, then swing on over to the Man Reviews podcast and check out our review of Back to the Future and Batman. And don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. We would love to add you to the Man Reviews community.
Okay. Great, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, guys. Love being on here with you guys.
No, of course.
No, it was.
Thank you.
This is the best live stream we had.
Too long between sessions.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I thought you were saying it was just too long of a session. That's a whole. I know I get a little windy sometimes, so I apologize.
Andres, go ahead, sir.
Yes, this is Andres Poco. I can't talk now. Anyway, Channel Presents is my channel. I recently posted my 10th anniversary of Captain America: Civil War. I just recently posted just now the final fight scene between FF versus Dr. Doom in the 2005 version. Just want to do a quick plug. I'm gonna join Tim again next. The pod for the Thin Red Line is gonna come out soon. This Saturday, so please check that out. There you can understand the joke that I was doing about the lost connection about the polar bears. So sorry if you guys are confused, but I got so sick during that pod slowly, and I lost my mind. So anyway, shorts. I did my review on Backrooms, the 2026 horror film, so you can check that out. Plus I did the Obsession review as well, so you can check out the two breakout horror films right now. And I'm doing some clips, some from 90s and right now superhero stuff. That's what's going on. Live stream reviews, I want to go to there because I already set up some of it. So this Sunday I just need to talk to Jeff about this. There's a new top ranking review, don't know what. It's a mystery, so just please join us. Gonna leave it like that. But the last one for June, we're gonna be the Fast and Furious for its 25th anniversary. So I'm gonna put together a couple of other friends / collaborators that we worked for the couple of years to come over and do that film.
Andre, is he there?
25 Fast 7 to say, let's do it 3. So anyway, so thank you so much. Please support me, Tim, Saber, and Jeff, so we can tune on and make some awesome videos. That's all I have to say. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Andres. One left. Cyber. Sir, please go ahead.
Always, people, if you enjoy me moderating or enjoy me on the panel, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneck Shark. You can see there my most recent trailer reaction is Evil Dead Burns. If you have not checked that out, give it a whirl. If you haven't checked out my Mortal 2 Combat review, you can check that out too as well. My shorts are still the same. I still most recently Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. If you have not seen that short, definitely check it out. More content up for you soon, so keep your eyes out. Keep on watching us here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Keep watching our solo content. We appreciate you guys. And as always, love having the Man Review podcast on. They're always great to have. And as always, we appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you, Cyber. All right, gentlemen. Folks, we are out of here. Thank you to Tim for joining us. Shout out to, of course, to Cyber for moderating tonight. Great job, Cyber. Thanks to Andres, the pop culture guy, for being here. And fuck yeah, we're out of here. We'll be back on Wednesday next week for Spider Noir episode 4 already. Wow. Fucking flying through that motherfucker. Espa 97 is going to be fucking starting soon. Real quick. So we're out of here, folks. We appreciate you. Later.